ever get the feeling you're being watched? You are the second you enter this next home in Melbourne, Florida. Ed's heads are everywhere. This is Ed, and these are his heads. And this is the house where Ed makes his tiki heads. A modest 900 square foot, one-bedroom home in Melbourne, Florida.
Hello, television viewers. My name's Ed. This is a few of my heads. Have a good time looking at them.
But who's looking at who?
I like to decorate my home with my heads. They're kind of like my children. They all got a little bit of my personality. What you see is what you get.
Ed has 40 heads in his house. They're hanging on the walls in his front hallway, almost touching the ceiling in the living room, standing just a foot off the dining room floor, and laughing back at you in his backyard.
Kind of unconventional, I guess.
Kind of. Even Ed's friends say unconventional is just one way to describe him and his head profession.
He's an original.
Eccentric.
He's a pretty wild guy.
When I saw his heads, I thought, I have to have one of those. And so I married him to have one.
That's right. Christina is now Mrs. Ed's Heads.
The tree never falls far from the tiki.
And that means Mrs. Ed gets a serious dose of the artist's antics in his outdoor studio, otherwise known as the backyard, where he dries palm trees.
They sit back here in the shade, kind of mellowing out like a fine wine until they're aged just perfectly.
When they're ready, he shaves the bark off one side.
I never know really what's going to happen until the bark comes off, and they kind of speak to me. I mean, you know, they control me. I don't control them. Let the chips fly where they may. I've been saving that baby for just the right television show.
When it's time to do the hand carving, Ed puts on his own show at a local restaurant where he's a regular.
This is where I entertain and carve for all my peeps. I'm here on the Indian River. It's a nice setting. People just like to come out here and watch me carve because it's like poetry in motion when I really unwind.
It's incredible to watch.
There's a humorous element in everything Ed does.
Is my hammer like a blur?
Ed puts the finishing touches on his heads back at his house. First, he burns the accent lines black to give the faces more depth. And then comes the paint.
Yeah, that looks good.
Ed uses bright colors, but puts it on with a casual paint technique to give his tikis a weather-worn look.
Wow. I do a lot of rough edges, so that's cool because the brush will catch on all those ridges and just look great.
Ed's heads are well known throughout Central Florida, especially in Melbourne, where it seems that he's tiki-fied the whole town.
I just think that our home couldn't possibly be complete without some of Ed's work.
After almost 30 years of creating his unusual art, Ed has carved out a niche by following his passion for tiki. Nice hair, by the way. It's a passion he can't explain, but he hopes to pass it on to the rest of the United States.
I'm perfect for all of America, not just offbeat America. Any more questions?
Did you know tikis are part of Polynesian culture? The belief is when a person sculpts a tiki, they're asking for its good favor.